WQSU is proud to present the PA Pigskin Preview, WQSU's live sports talk show produced exclusively by Susquehanna University communication students. Tonight, we'll preview local high school and college football games live from Buffalo Wild Wings. Right now, it's the WQSU Sports Corner.
Welcome back for another week of PA Pigskin Preview live from Buffalo Wild Wings on 88.9 WQSU. I'm Brai Tate, and I'm joined by Matt Kaufman, and tonight we have Todd Hummel from the Daily Item, Susquehanna football players Braden Nolan and Danny Robertozzi, and ending our night with our roundtable with AJ Knorr. But first we'll start with freshman offensive lineman Danny. Matt, take it away.
Danny, thank you so much for joining me today. Appreciate you coming out. So, being a freshman here at Susquehanna University, you just you took that next step from high school to college. What's been the transition like for you?
Well, it's just like a lot more work you got to put in, and it's more of a schedule that I feel like you have to stick to. It's kind of more of a structured schedule, I would say. But I feel like everything's been great so far, you know. A lot of good teammates, a lot of good friends, great coaches.
Now, what were your expectations heading into your first year of college, just in the academic level, but also on the field as well as practice and throughout games?
I expected to go out there and give it my all, you know, and everything, even in the classroom, which, you know, I didn't always do in high school. But I tried to transition over to college a little better and prepare more for things that I did in high school.
Now, one of the big things, and we go way back. We've known each other for a while now, and one of the things that I saw in high school that I think was one of the most important parts was the leadership. As a young player, as a freshman on this team, you don't have as many opportunities to do that, but when that opportunity comes across, what does that mean for you to be able to give guys who might be struggling in certain spots, or just a scenario where you have to give somebody that advice?
Yeah, I try to do my job, and then whenever I can help out anybody else, you know, I'll take that opportunity. Especially like when we're competing, you know. Well, we had a couple scrimmages earlier in camp. Those were good for competition and, you know, all that stuff. And now we just compete against each other in practice. So just stuff like that.
Now, obviously, going into your freshman year, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of things that you might not know right away. What's the college life like? Where do I go out to eat? What time do I got to wake up for practice right away? Who has been that person that's been there for you to help you through that early process?
Probably just my O-line guys, you know, the seniors and the upperclassmen who are leaders on the team. They've really helped me and the other freshmen, especially O-linemen, out a lot with all that stuff, you know. And it's nerve-wracking, you know, especially when I didn't really know what anything here was. But they've been good to me.
Now, this team's had success throughout the last few years, really last decade or so.
Yep. What
does that mean to you going into a program that's had success and being able to see yourself grow from a freshman to hopefully all 4 years here at Susquehanna?
That's why I wanted to be here. You know, I got recruited by plenty of other schools, but they didn't win like Susquehanna wins. So I wanted to be here, and I wanted to win. I wanted to be a part of a winning program again.
Now, going into this year and really all 4 years that you're going to be here, hopefully, there's goals that you set. What is a goal for you this year as a freshman heading into your first season?
It was just to get better, you know. Obviously, I wanted to play. I haven't really played that much, but, you know, just got to keep working hard every week, and then especially this offseason, going to have to hit it hard.
Now, you look at the support groups, and you got the offensive line, you got your teammates. Coach-wise, how much of an impact have they had on you so far in your early career?
Having Coach Perk, the head coach, be our O-line coach, it's great. You know, he's such a knowledgeable guy about football, and it's great learning from him, you know, every day.
Now, being a freshman, you don't have a lot of memories yet at Susquehanna, but I know you definitely got some good ones in high school with the football team back home. What was your favorite memory back in high school football?
Probably just when we won. You know, we played a lot of hard teams, and when we pulled out and won, that was the best. You know, partying after and stuff. But yeah, I'd have to say that.
Well, one more thing before I send it back to Brai. When you look ahead to your career, what is the one thing that you want to get out of your Susquehanna football career?
I just want to make an impact, you know. I want to be someone who the coaches and my teammates can count on.
Okay. Now we have Susquehanna speed run. So quick, rapid fire type of questions. So my first one is, what's your favorite part about playing offensive line?
Hitting people every play.
Describe the O-line room in one word.
Weird.
Who's the funniest guy on the line?
On the line?
Or team, whatever you, what came to mind first?
On the team, definitely Ray.
Okay. What's your go-to pregame or postgame meal?
Probably like a burger or something.
Okay. What the hardest part about being an offensive lineman?
A lot of like quick adjustments that you have to make, you know, mentally.
Okay. And then day or night games? I know obviously day games now, night games in high school. Which one do you like more?
I like night games.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've done one since we've been here, so maybe we'll get another one my senior year. Okay. We'll see. What teammate would win the Hunger Games?
Probably Brandon Shipley.
Okay. If you weren't an offensive lineman, you didn't play on the line, what position would you play?
Tight end.
Okay.
Probably bench, but.
That was Danny Robertozzi, and I'm Brai Tate. And next we will have Braden Nolan when we come back.
WQSU Pigskin Preview, live from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to PA Pigskin Preview on 88.9 WQSU. I'm Brai Tate, and Matt Kaufman and I now have Braden Nolan, a junior on Susquehanna football team. Matt?
Braden, let's talk about what you've done so far this year. You've been one of the more quietly consistent players. How have you seen your growth these past couple of weeks and really throughout the season in your career here at SU?
I really think that I just got the plays down this year. You know, I'm hitting gaps. Us linebackers are really dialed this year, really understanding like the plays, why we're doing what we're doing, and I think that just builds a lot of depth, which is making us week by week just getting better and better.
And it feels like every time that I'm up in the booth and we're calling these games, especially the home games, we feel like I've continued to say your name. You've had an impact some way, shape, or form in every game. You've got 19 tackles this year. You've been in the backfield a couple of times. What have you seen from your improvement from the beginning of the season in camp to now here in, I believe, week 7 or 8?
I think it's just my dialedness has shifted from special teams because I was stuck behind some of these linebackers. Garrett Carter, great kid, love him. I was just stuck behind some of these guys. So now that I'm a junior, I'm understanding the plays and everything. Now I can just dial in at linebacker, and now I'm getting interceptions and I'm making plays. So
now one of the biggest things in all sports, but especially on the defensive side, you got to have the communication. What is one way that you guys have not fixed, but have continued to get better in on that communication aspect?
So communication really, it goes to, obviously, us linebackers, we do a lot of communication with the line, but a lot of it is the guys behind us, the safeties, and they really, week to week we've been working on and, adjusting, changing things, so they have to, adjust to what team we're playing for that week. But they've been doing a great job behind us, getting us in the right spots, and, so.
You've gotten turnovers. This defense has gotten the turnovers. They forced the picks. They've gotten the fumbles. They've gotten to the quarterback. What's the mentality like this season compared to what you've seen in the past?
So the mentality for the season is our defense. We call ourselves the Bandits this year. So that's our new motto. So each in our own groups on the defense, we identify ourselves as something different. Us linebackers, we're called the Pounders. So our mentality is a little different than the other groups. Ours is, run through your face, fill gaps, and play downhill.
I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more later on how you got those nicknames, but let's go into you've played with some pretty key players this year defensively. Galen Lumentor on this line. You've played with guys like Brian Layton up front. How big of an impact is it to have all these guys be able to be such key contributors throughout the season?
Yeah, shout out Galen. He's been playing great recently. Some of these guys are animals. But Galen specifically, I want to talk about him. He's been really picking it up in the past couple of weeks. Just really explosive, just really, explosive, really, which is really paying off for a kid like him. He's going to produce here as we get to the back end of the season.
As you look ahead to the back end of that season, what is one goal that you have that you want to set going into these next few games?
I think one goal is to just make an impact in a part of the game that matters. So whether that's a pick, whether that's a fumble or a big hit that gets us going. I'll take whatever comes my way, and I'm going to do my 1/11th each and every play. So when it's my turn to make it, I'm there.
Now, we obviously know there's rotation throughout the game, and going to the sideline for a play or two. How do you mentally stay focused and prepared to go in for that next play, make a big hit, force a big turnover?
Well, yeah, you just got to stay dialed in the game. Before each and every game, I kind of just sit in the locker room. Each and all of us, we do our own routine. And once I'm just dialed, for the rest of the game, if I'm on or off the field, in the game, off the field, I'm just staying in the game. So the mentality just carries on play to play.
Now, a couple of tough losses the first few weeks of the season, but it seems like the defense, they found the rhythm. What has been so key to that rhythm?
Well, we had two tougher opponents early on in the season. John Hopkins, they were, a ranked team, and then Christopher Newport. We wish we could, play them again, but things happen. I think that now, though, week to week on the defense, we've really been just getting solidly better and better. But it really just comes down to us, being more comfortable working together with the guys who are on the field, just knowing that, Vin Venero, he's going to be there. Just everyone knows what their part is on the 1/11th each and every play. So I think that's, what's been really getting better on our defense. So.
All right, now we also have this Susquehanna speed run for you. So again, quick questions. What is your favorite uniform combo?
So my favorite, my favorite uniform combo. I would have to say it's the all gray.
Oh, really?
A lot of
I think
people.
it's the first time we've gotten that one.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that on the team, and I've heard it. But I actually love the all gray. We had an all gray in my high school. Loved it too. So yeah.
We've only heard all white so far when we've asked that question.
Wow.
I don't really like the gray, honestly, but might be better than all orange. It's a lot to look at.
Yeah.
Too bright.
Interception or sack? Which one's better? Which one feels better?
Oh, interception. And then you can take that if you stay on your feet to the crib. So, yeah.
What's the first thing that goes through your mind when you see a fumble hit the ground?
Could you say that again? Sorry.
Ball fumbled. What are you thinking?
Oh, light bulb just goes off my head. I get on it. I've had to do that the past couple of weeks. Yeah.
In practice, who's the toughest player to bring down?
Ooh, toughest player to bring down. I'm gonna have to give it to Tommy. Yeah, Tommy.
Okay.
Number 22, baby. He's a truck.
What's your go-to hype song before kickoff?
Go-to hype song. So I have a lot of hype songs. Some are.
Yeah. What's the energy of the music before game day?
Yeah. So we're playing EDM. We're blasting an EDM house. Shout out Luke Hughes. Shout out Steve Seibert. Yeah.
We've heard Steve Seibert as the funniest guy on the team. Would you say that?
I think there's a new kid on the block.
Ooh.
Mike Maggione. Yeah, he's a funny kid.
All right. What's your? Ooh, I guess I asked that one. Who on the defense talks the most trash?
Talks the most trash. On the full defense or like?
Whatever popped in your mind.
Oh, I want to say Nick Webb, but you know he's funny. He'd be on the sidelines, just just chirping the offense, the other team, and on game day. He's funny.
That's my favorite part is listening to you guys just chirp away.
Yeah.
Biggest difference in this year's defense compared to last year's?
I think just biggest difference. I think I don't know. There was just a lot of changes since last year with the people that were graduated out. I mean, we had a bunch of fifth years. Shout out D-Rob. Now our linebackers coach, which we love because he just got off the field. He just got off from playing. Now he's our coach. Gives us exactly what we need. He's thinking the same mentality as us. So it's great, which is really helping us this year on the defense.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hardest hit you've delivered this year, do you remember it?
I don't remember it because I hit him so hard. But yeah, it was on kickoff, right out of halftime. I just flew down the field, and I met him. Yeah, that was great. Wow.
What's one word to describe the defense this year? Appropriate.
I would say we're elusive this year.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a good
the
word.
I'd use.
And then finally, favorite memory in a Riverhawk uniform?
Oh my gosh. I was a freshman. I was just on special teams. I was just traveling with the team. Cortland, they went to go win it all that year and for D3 football. They only had one loss, and it was to the Riverhawks, and it was an insane game.
I have to say that's probably my favorite too.
That was an incredible game. I will never forget, ever.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. That was Braden Nolan. And when we come back, we will have Todd Hummel from the Daily Item.
Support for WQSU and Riverhawk football.
You're in the middle of the WQSU Pigskin Preview, live from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back. I'm Brai Tate, joined by Matt Kaufman, and we just had Braden Nolan and Danny Robertozzi. That's to break that one up. And we will kick off the high school football playoffs. Help me out here. I can't get it. So, record. You're picking teams. You are 23-5 so far this season, Todd, and you got all of them right from last week. So, props to you. So then, last week you went to Milton and Warrior Run. This was also one of our question games that we gave you. So Warrior Run versus Milton, and you picked Warrior Run, and Warrior Run won 31-10. Tell me about this game.
Well, Warrior Run kind of dominated up front. Tyler Ulrich ran for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Denon Beachel also had over 100 yards rushing. And it was 31-10, and I think I'm not even sure Warrior Run punted. They really dominated, especially in the second half. I think it was like 32 plays to 8. Milton had 2 3-and-outs and a long touchdown pass, and that's the only time they had the ball in the second half. And they wanted to control Monty Fisher, Milton's running back, who had 4 out of his last 5 games over 200 yards. And he did break 2 big runs, but they didn't result in touchdowns. He ended up with 117 yards. And Warrior Run clinched the number 2 seed, and they're going to host South Williamsport this week in the opening round of the District 4 2A playoffs. And
we'll get there in a little bit. Let's get more into last week's predictions. Mount Carmel versus Shamokin. You picked Shamokin, and Shamokin won 26-21 in the Cool Bucket game.
Yeah, and Shamokin had to rally in the last 2 minutes to bail me out, so I am undefeated. Honestly, it was probably the best performance of the season for Mount Carmel. They had not been real good up front at times this season against the better teams, and they really controlled the clock at times against a Shamokin team that has really played well all season, to be honest. And, it was just, Logan Steele broke a long run for a touchdown in the third quarter when it was 21-7 to kind of get Shamokin back into the game, and the defense played better. I think they had 2 9-yard gains in the second half, and that was it for the Mount Carmel offense after playing well in the first half. And then, Shamokin, recovers an onside kick. Both Logan Steele, the quarterback, and the receiver, Ryan Bickert, made a read that there was no safety and ran a post pattern instead of a fly pattern, and they got the ball down inside the 10, scored a touchdown, and were able to win after not getting a 2-point conversion with about a minute left to force the onside kick. And if you got a chance to see some of the highlights or see it on TV, it was broadcast statewide on PCN. I mean, the crowd was huge. They rushed the field when it was over. It was an outstanding atmosphere, and it was a great win for Shamokin.
Next is Line Mountain versus Susquehanna. You picked Line Mountain, and Line Mountain won 63-14.
Yeah, this went about as what we expected last week. And Dalton Shado, I believe, had 3 touchdown catches for Line Mountain. Caden Maurer, who entered, I think he did in the first or second week of the season, became the school's all-time leading passer. He's thrown for 1,800 yards and now 29 touchdowns this season. And they're playing real well. We'll see how this bye affects them. They're off this week. They're the top seed in Class A. They're awaiting the winner of Muncie and Montgomery in the Class A playoffs. And it's just, we talked a little bit about this last week. It's a matter of getting healthy right now for Line Mountain. They're missing Max Johnson, their all-state defensive end. They've been nicked up all season. The Malafera kid, Luke Malafera, the older one, the tight end linebacker, he's back. Ethan Lanker missed some time, he's back. So they're getting healthy. We'll see who they pick up or who they end up with in the championship game next week, and it should be a fun one down at Line Mountain next week.
A little beat up, but still putting up some good numbers. Next was Wellsboro versus North Penn Mansfield. You picked Wellsboro, and Wellsboro won 48-10.
Yeah, again, Wellsboro is one of those teams that, I think they got blown out. I think it was the first week of the season by Montoursville. Started a little slow, but found some things they do well. They ended up, that victory puts them at 6-4 and clinched them a playoff spot. And we talked a little bit about this last week. North Penn Mansfield just ran into, They were 4-1 going into that Warrior Run game about a month ago, and lost their last 5 games of the season and ended 4-6. And it was a different kind of Mansfield team. They're usually known for throwing, and they had to run the ball this year. And when they ran into some bigger schools, it just didn't go well for them.
Next, Southern Columbia versus Shikellamy. You picked Southern Columbia, and Southern won 61-28.
The score doesn't kind of belie, how the game went. The Braves were up 21-14 at one point in the second quarter, and were playing real well. But they just had some special teams breakdowns in the second half. Braden Andrews returned a punt for a touchdown. Brady Arnold returned a punt for a touchdown, and then Caius Morrow returned a kickoff for a touchdown on a squib kick. So there's 3 touchdowns right there as Southern pulled away. And again, they dominated up front. They ran for 400 yards. And Shikellamy just didn't have enough in the second half to stay in that scoring race. And, the Tigers are playing real well right now. And it's probably the best time of the season. And that wrapped up the top seed in Class 2A for them.
Definitely. Troy versus Canton. You picked Troy, and Troy won 49-6.
And we talked a little bit about Canton last week being one of the better teams, perennially in Class A, and this kind of being a struggle for them. Just wasn't a good matchup. Canton ended up, I think, the season with 2 wins. And, Troy's only losses to Waverly, New York, the second week of the season, defending 2A champs. It's going to be interesting because we're looking right now, if the seeds hold in 2A that, Southern or Warrior Run and Troy are going to meet up, both being 10-1 in the semifinals next week with Southern and Bloomsburg in the other semifinals. So the 2A race should be real fun over these next 4 weeks, and going to be real interesting to see just how good Troy is.
2 more here. Mifflinburg versus Lewisburg. You picked Mifflinburg, and Mifflinburg shut out the Green Dragons 35-0.
This is another one, the final score is not a surprise, but Mifflinburg needed 2 touchdowns to get it to 35-0 in the fourth quarter, and Lewisburg hung around with them a little bit. Lewisburg had a shot to get a playoff berth if things worked their way. Obviously, they didn't with the loss, and right now Mifflinburg ran the ball real well last week against Lewisburg. He's Chris Martin. That's the yellow card, the yellow play guy, the yellow guy. Chad Martin leads the area in passing yards. He's thrown for 28 touchdowns. And, right now it's a matter of, Mifflinburg's been aiming for this part of the season all year. They expected to be in the district playoffs, expect to contend for a title, and now they have home field advantage throughout, and now they have to finish the job.
Finally, Montoursville versus Loyalsock. You picked Montoursville, and they won 52-14.
This is one of those games I went back and forth on last week because I thought it was going to be much tighter than it was. This might have been the most surprising score to me last week, just because these games are always close, regardless of how good either team is playing or how well either team is playing at that point in the season. And I wonder if Loyalsock really had a hard time bouncing back from Shamokin, got beat up a little bit last week, and Montoursville. Their only 2 losses are to Mifflinburg and Southern. They're a good football team, and they proved it. And now, they're another team that fully expected to be at this point in the season. And, I think this ends up being a little tougher matchup for them than it was earlier in the season, a rematch with Mount Carmel. But that should be, again, 3A. Montoursville Mifflinburg played a real entertaining game last year in the playoffs, and it wouldn't surprise me if that's a championship game next week.
Now, Matt will give you this week's predictions.
So let's start with Class 1A, number 3, Muncie at 5-5, at number 2, 9-1, Montgomery.
So Montgomery won this game, the battle for the shoe, probably about a month ago. And the thing for, Montgomery's defense is real good. Where they struggle, struggle might be too strong of a word, but, it's not a real explosive offense. It's a real grinded down offense. So, I think Montgomery gets this one. Again, this is a rivalry game. Montgomery got the first one. They play for the old shoe. I don't think it counts this time since it's a playoff game, but it should be interesting because, I'm a little surprised Muncie lost to Hughesville last week, but that's another rivalry game. Hughesville was able to get them. But I think Montgomery's defense is too good, and I think the Red Raiders are heading to Herndon next week to play Lime Mountain.
Let's go to Class 2A, number 5, Loyalsock at 5-5, taking on number 4, Bloomsburg at 8-2.
Another rematch from earlier this season. Bloomsburg had all kinds of trouble stopping Jaleel Coates in the ground game. and lost. That was Bloomsburg's only loss until that loss to Southern a couple weeks ago. Loyalsock has played well since they moved Coates to running back in week 3, but I'm just these last 2 losses right now, I feel like Bloomsburg's playing playing a little better than them right now. I like Bloomsburg in this one, but this is going to be another close one just because I feel like Loyalsock, you have to be confident, even though you're the underdog in the road team. You already went to Bloomsburg, won on their home field, so this should be a good one. I think the Panthers get a little bit of revenge, though.
Let's stay in Class 2A at number 7, South Williamsport at 6-4, taking on number 2, 9-1 Warrior Run.
South Williamsport coach Chris Eisworth has been at South Williamsport, at least 12, 15 years now, but he actually came over from Warrior Run, so that's something to keep an eyeball on. He used to be head coach at Warrior Run, I think 2 coaches ago it is now, but right now, we talked a little bit in the beginning of this segment, the defenders are running the ball as well as anyone in the area between Tyler Ulrich and Denon Beachel at running back. Both guys have been running the ball well. Cohen Zeckman has 858 yards receiving, so they can throw the ball if they need to. I like Warrior Run in this one. They're the favorite. South Williamsport has struggled at times. I hate to play the transitive property of sports, but Warrior Run handled Milton last week, and Milton shut out South Williamsport about 3 weeks ago. So I think Warrior Run's probably a clear favorite and should probably get this one.
Let's go to Class 3A, number 3, Mount Carmel at 5-5, taking on Montoursville at 8-2 as number 2. Who do you got?
Well, Mount Carmel, we talked a little bit about this in the coal bucket. It's probably the best their up front has played both sides of the ball all season. So they're playing real well right there. They kind of went away from, their shotgun offense that they used to run and were running a little bit of wing T. But now they're back to their old offense. They feel a little confident. I like Montoursville in this one, and I'd be a little more confident in Mount Carmel, but I think they're just a little bit too beat up in the secondary. It might be, we're getting to the point in the season that some of these injuries are going to be too much to overcome at this point. But, Montoursville blew them out at the Silver Bowl, I think week 4, but I think it's much closer this time, and it should be a pretty entertaining one up at Montoursville.
Let's go to Class 4A, our last matchup. Number 3 at 9-1 Athens, taking on at number 2 at 7-3 Jersey Shore.
I really like Jersey Shore in this one. You look at the 2 schedules. Athens has played all Class A and 2A teams. Best team they play by far is Troy, and Troy beat them by 3 touchdowns in week 3. You look at Jersey Shore's schedule. There's a reason why, even though they have 3 losses, their power ranking is gets them the home game. Not only did they play the Division I teams in the HAC, but they played Hollidaysburg, they played Delaware Valley. I just think they're a little more tested. Athens quarterback Connor Davidson is a heck of an athlete. They'll score some points. I don't think they're going to score enough with a team that's probably going to put 42, 45 on them.
And then what game will you be at this week?
I am going to Warrior Run and South Williamsport. We kind of played a lottery this week, so.
All right. That was Todd Hummel from the Daily Item, and when we come back, we will have our roundtable with AJ Knorr.
Support for WQSU and Riverhawk football comes from Buffalo Wild Wings in the Monroe Marketplace in Selinsgrove.
Well,
You're in the middle of the WQSU Pigskin Preview, live from Buffalo Wild Wings.
welcome back to 88.9 WQSU for PA Pigskin Preview. We just had two Susquehanna football players on and Todd Hummel from the Daily Item, and now we are in our round table. I don't know. We are going to start off with Sorry, guys, that's my fault. I was messing with the thing, I guess. We're going to start off with our Penn State football. So next, Penn State plays number 1 ranked Ohio State. I think this one's going to be rough, guys. What do we think?
Yeah, I'm excited. I've really enjoyed watching Ohio State this year. I just feel like this is one of those games for Penn State, unfortunately, that it's probably the last team they want to see after the way that the year's gone this year with James Franklin being fired, Drew Aller going out with injury. But this Ohio State team, up and down the roster, all three phases of the ball, offense, defense, special teams, they've done it all. Jeremiah Smith's done a great job. Julian Sain's done a phenomenal job. Their defense has continued to step up time and time again. But I think this is also going to be a good test for Penn State because I don't see Penn State winning this football game, but I feel like Penn State, this is that game that you're facing the number 1 team in the country. You're facing a team that most likely is going to be playing for a national championship come the middle of the winter. But this is also a tough football team. Like, this is the top team that you were going to face this season. And for this roster, they've already been through probably the ups and downs, right? They started the season well, then it got worse. It continued to fall. Now for Penn State, this is their opportunity to say that we can still compete with the big dogs. But the other thing is they're playing this game in the horseshoe. Like, they are going to Ohio State. This is going to be a really tough matchup. It's going to be a tough environment. They're probably going to have to do a lot of silent counts in this game because when you go to Ohio State Stadium and in the shoe, it's loud. You can't hear anything. You can barely hear yourself talk. I mean, it is going to be a tough environment for Penn State to play. And vice versa, Penn State knows what it's like to play at Beaver Stadium. Now they got to channel that energy and flip the script and be like, all right, now we're on the road. Think they're cheering for us. They know they're not. But I think this is going to be a heavily ran football game with Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. I think this is going to be that game where they really need to figure out how to flip the script. And although I don't see them winning, I don't even think a lot of Penn State fans could see them winning this football game. I very much believe that this is a game that puts them either back on the map or proves that they are still going downhill.
I mean, if you're Penn State, this is like your only game where you have a chance at maybe possibly proving that you aren't truly just having the worst season that I've seen in so many years. I mean, we see, Franklin gets fired, Drew Aller goes down. It was like all of a sudden, like all those things I said on all of our Pat Latchell sports shows, how I wanted them gone, came true. And in a moment, it all came true. And it's now, I'm happy about how it's going to take a while for this team to turn over. But I hate to say, I don't see a world where they're able to pull this out against Ohio State this week. I really don't, given the fact that there's so much ups and downs. But I don't want to take away from the fact that, like, some of these guys are having amazing seasons, like Katron Allen, who has just been, amazing. Coming into this year, we all thought it was going to be Nick Singleton, and then he comes out and does amazing. So I want to see something from this Penn State team. I don't know what they have to give at this point in the season, given the fact that they're missing their quarterback and their head coach is gone.
And we talked about that a little bit last week, and tough next 2 games. Ohio State this Saturday, and the next Saturday, number 2, Indiana.
Yeah, they really didn't give them a easy stretch, especially the back half of the season.
I felt like these first 3 games were like the easy games. They said, here, just take these, and then all of a sudden it's like, here's all these top 10 teams. Have fun, guys. Enjoy your last couple of weeks.
Now we're going to move into NFL, the Eagles and the Steelers. So the Eagles, 38-20 win over Matt's Giants.
Yeah, this one was rough, and I know I'm going to hear about it, and that's fine. But this has been a continuous thing that I've seen throughout the last few weeks while watching the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's these continuous penalties. I mean, and I've had so many conversations over the last few days about this fumble call with the Jalen Hurts and the forward progress. I'm going to be honest, when you have Hall of Famer and Tom Brady say it, you have Mike Pereira from Fox say it, that ball was a fumble. That never should have happened. And then you lose by 18, so that's a three-score game, obviously assuming the Giants score in all 3 possessions. But you have that play that should be Giants football. Then you have the pass interference, the offensive pass interference, which I still don't understand how that was offensive pass interference when the defender was really draped all over Darius Slay. It had the arms on him. You can see a picture on social media of grabbing the jersey, the handful of jersey. That was called offensive pass interference. That was actually a touchdown that was called back. And then you have the pass interference, the DPI on Corey Black, who we just called up because everybody on our defensive in our secondary is banged up. Paulson Adebo's down, Jamon Holland's down. Cordell Flott got punched in the face by Bobby Okereke during a play. I don't know how that happens, but it's been the Giants season. It's been the last few years. But you take that play away. I believe that was either 2nd and long or 3rd and long, so that brings up 3rd and long or 4th down. Giants would get the punt. Those are your 3 scores right there. Again, I'm not saying the Giants win this game, but I feel like this has been a continuous issue where penalties have cost really all teams around the NFL. I mean, to me, this Eagles team, they struggled running the football. Obviously, we saw Saquon Barkley, which I know, Bray, we've had this conversation a couple times the past few weeks here on Pigskin, when are they going to be able to run the football? When is Saquon Barkley going to be able to look like the running back he did a year ago when this team won the Super Bowl? But he had that big run, but I feel like other than that, the Giants were able to bottle him up defensively, and there was no A.J. Brown in this game. Devontae Smith had a career game. Dallas Goedert on National Tight Ends Day, which, by the way, I need to get me a National Tight Ends Day T-shirt. I think it's phenomenal. But I just feel like all these teams around the NFL, and I think this was probably the last straw, and I've seen it on ESPN. Stephen A. Smith was talking about it this morning or yesterday morning about the tush push. There was a mixed amount of teams that voted towards the tush push and to not ban the tush push. I feel like after this game this past Sunday, that's going to change a lot of people's minds. They've missed a false start. That would have been 4th down. They missed the fumble. I think the fumble is probably the biggest part of this game. Not that, again, it's early in the game, but it's the fact that that's a game-changing play. That's a game-changing play to the point of that's Giants football. Not saying, again, they go down the field and score, but that's a play that completely flips it when you look at the two sides. Giants really didn't – they had the turnovers, but, again, that was almost – in the trench time. Like, those are turnovers that you're almost granted to have. Just, you got to throw the football. Scatteraboo goes out. I hope he recovers quickly and healthy and back for next season. That was a pretty gruesome injury. But just seeing the continuous penalties over and over and over, and it's not just this game. It's been all year with all teams. You look at the game that Thursday night that the Giants beat the Eagles, and there weren't a lot of penalties. It was a clean football game by both teams, and it was a competitive football game at that. You look at this game, there's no competitiveness when you have 15, 20 penalties between the two teams. Really, in the first half, I believe there was 10 penalties. So it continues to be frustrating. It continues to be a struggle. I think Jackson Dart looked good. I think the Eagles' defense looked great. And I think Jalen Hurts has finally been able to throw the touchdown pass. Again, besides the Saquon Barkley run in the opening drive that went for a touchdown, I still think they got to figure out how to run the football better, though.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles, rushing the football has been slow. I mean, I feel like it's been more Jalen Hurts than Saquon Barkley, and that's not how it was last year. And as a Penn State fan, I want to see Saquon Barkley out there. I want to see him getting the yards. And one thing you didn't touch upon, though, and I hate to bring it up, Kaufman, the Jahan Dotson catch on the head, that made my heart happy as someone who watched him play with Saquon all those years. It makes me happy to see these, the Penn State guys go out there and get it. But I just think I'm going to agree with you on the tush push there. That was a fumble. It was blatantly a fumble, and you can argue it, especially Philly fans, but that was a fumble. I just think this Eagles team, they had it easy this week. You guys are seeing a lot of injuries from this Giants, and I want to talk about what people are speculating as the hip drop tackle against Scatteraboo. As someone who, I don't like the Giants, but I like Scatteraboo. I really do. So it's hard to see someone, especially young and, really getting time to go down like that. I just speedy recover for him. But this Eagles team has not really impressed me this year. Given the big matchups they've gone up against, they've come up with a loss, and the Broncos kind of really showed out that, and that was the first fraudulent thing I saw out of them this year. And I don't know, against this Giants team that's beaten and battered, I didn't really see anything too crazy out there this week.
And I think
Sorry, you go.
to add on to that point, too, you look at this Denver game that the Eagles played a couple of weeks ago, and then you look at the game the Giants and Denver played. Those were two really competitive football games. It didn't seem that way with this Giants-Eagles matchup, and it did seem like that. It seemed that way a couple of weeks ago, Thursday night. But this week, when you add on top of the penalties, you add on those missed calls. I mean, you look at the offensive pass interference. I thought Brian Daboll's head was going to explode. He was so irate about that call, and for every right. I mean, again, he's probably going to get fined for it, and I think Brian Burns put it perfectly in his post-game interview where he goes, I don't want to get fined. I don't want to touch upon that. But Kayvon Thibodeau straight up said that it was ridiculous. And I think it gets to the point of the frustration of the players, especially after coming off a loss like they did against the Broncos. Coming off that loss to now going into a game where you know it, you're in Philly, you know the crowd's going to be rowdy, you know it's going to be a tough environment to play. And a lot of the veterans on this Giants roster were telling Jackson Dart, it's going to be a tough environment. It's going to be like playing in a college football team, playing in your rival stadium. Yeah. But this was a game that I feel like the Giants could have won this football game. Mm-hmm. Without those calls, I think the Giants could have won this football game. Again, everything has to go right. But for Philadelphia, like we've been saying, the run game has to get fixed. And I don't think the offensive line has been too great either. I mean, this offensive line has, compared to last year, and I think that's a reason why the offensive run game has not worked too well, because the offensive line up front has not been that great. Yeah. The question is, how do they fix that? Again, they're missing their center. He's out with injury. This guy's a 9-year backup, and I love the point that Brian oh, my God, I can't think. Carl Banks brought up. I don't know why I forgot about that. Holy cow. Carl Banks brought up in a post-game interview that he was talking about, Dexter Lawrence, you're facing a guy who's a 9-year backup as a starting center. How are you not getting to the quarterback? I mean, it seems like ever since Shane Bowen took over, Dexter Lawrence has not been the same Dexter Lawrence. Brian Burns continues to be a phenomenal. Abdul Carter, as though he's not getting the sacks, there's another one of your Penn State guys. If you didn't know, Harrison went to high school with him. I don't even think he heard me that time.
He likes to talk about it, so
I'm
surprised.
He loves to talk about Abdul Carter and the fact that he went to high school with him and he tutored him in math.
There we go,
but I will say, this defense, they've done their job at some points. It's the coordinating and the coaching staff that continues to struggle. But again, we'll see what happens throughout the year.
And before we move on from the Eagles, I do want to give a shout-out to Devontae Smith. He's having these last 2 games that he has had is really proven to me, and I've seen more out of him than I've seen out of A.J. Brown all year these last 2 games. And I hate to say it, and I'm going to be bold about it, but why aren't we seeing more from him, especially with A.J. Brown and him? I don't know. I think he's just done a better job, in my opinion, and that could be controversial, but my fantasy has proven that Devontae Smith has done better.
And I think that could be a whole nother tangent, but I think we can move on to the Packers and Steelers. Packers winning 35-25 in the highly anticipated Sunday night football game.
Well, the student beat the teacher, and I said that last week. This was going to be a really good football game. This is going to be a great way to end the Sunday night. You look at this matchup coming in, obviously 2 really good football teams, Packers coming off the bye week. Mm-hmm. This Packers offense continues to prove that they can hang with the big dogs. Their defense, though, has been the storyline all season. Yeah. And for Pittsburgh, the question was going to be, how is Aaron Rodgers going to play against this defense? How is this defense going to hold up against the high-flying ability of this Green Bay Packers offense? Jordan Love played great. Josh Jacobs continued to have a great year. And then you just look at the defense of Pittsburgh. They had some opportunities to come away with some big stops. The offense had a couple of plays. I really do wonder when they get DK Metcalf a little bit more involved, because I feel like that is such a big factor to your offense that if you can't get him going, what are you going to be able to do when you face teams like Kansas City late in the season? What are you going to do when Baltimore gets healthy? What are you going to do when you have to face Buffalo? Or even a team like the Indianapolis Colts? You know, are they the real deal? Well, that's how you find out. When you get DK Metcalf going, Aaron Rodgers, you can't rely on Rodgers all season. He's getting old. The run game isn't as efficient as it used to be, but if you could get DK Metcalf in there, a guy who, like Jahan Dotson did on Sunday against the Giants, go up there and make a play, you're going to have success down the field.
I will say, when we got rid of George Pickens, it hurt because I loved watching him play. And, it would have been an issue with the two biggest crash outs of the NFL on the same team. And I will always stand by that. However, when they traded him out, it really hurt my heart to see him go. And then DK did not really get too much off of this. And I don't know. DK's been quiet this year. And I don't know if it's just because Aaron Rodgers is old and just, can't really throw because he's getting decrepit or not. Who knows? But I just think this Steelers team, this was their big chance to prove if they wanted to make or break, and I think they broke in front of this Packers team.
And I mean, Pickens is doing great over in.
I know he is. I know.
Over in Texas. Next, we will go to which one do you want to talk about? What do we? Sunday? You want to do Sunday?
Yeah, why not?
We're going to go to Sunday. The Eagles are on a bye, and we were just talking about the Colts and Steelers. Who do we think is going to pull out with this win?
I honestly think the Colts are playing too good on both sides of the ball right now.
Yeah.
This is a tough one, though, because this game being in Pittsburgh, it's going to be a crazy environment. But I think this Colts team, the identity is different. And I think with all the hype behind Daniel Jones this year and what he's been able to do in his first 8 weeks of the season, but I feel like without Jonathan Taylor, that success isn't there.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love the kid when he came out of Duke. I was one of his biggest supporters in Daniel Jones. I wanted a Daniel Jones jersey, but I figured, it probably won't last very long, and it didn't. But this is a team that, for the Colts, this is an opportunity to prove that you can be with the big dogs.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, to me, is one of the big dogs. They're not like Kansas City. They're not like Buffalo. They're not like Baltimore when they're healthy. But this is a big test for the Colts. One, going on the road. Two, it's a test for their defense. If Aaron Rodgers can get the ball to DK Metcalf, get the ball to Pat Freiermuth, who I feel like has had success, especially against his defense. But I think the main X factor in this game is going to be the tight end, Tyler Warren. We've talked about it before. I know you're a big Penn State fan. I know you've loved Tyler Warren. I really think he has the main factor in this game because if you look at the way that Daniel Jones, Michael Pittman's been used, Alec Pierce, who's been a little bit banged up, then you got, of course, Jonathan Taylor, who's been majority of that offense of late. But when you get to guys like the tight ends and the fullbacks or the third-string, fourth-string wide receivers, those are the guys that can make the biggest impact. Those are the guys you don't see on the film. Those are the guys you don't see as much of practice. This game for the Colts, if they win this game, it's going to be Tyler Warren at least getting in the end zone once. And I'd say at least having 8 or 10 catches. Add him on your fantasy team this week.
He's been on my fantasy team, and I will say he's been one of my leaders. So shout out Tyler Warren. Everyone kind of Bray, you were there for the awesome draft, and everyone was kind of really? I said, don't doubt the guy. And I love having him on my team. I also like the matchup of the Penn State tight ends, Pat Freiermuth and Tyler Warren. I'm excited for that again because I live in the glory day of Penn State and not now. But no, I think. This one thing about this Pittsburgh Steelers team is the fact that they can always, push that 500, that perfect 500. There's never a losing season for this team. Will they be able to pull this out over the Colts? I do not know, because just given the fact that the Colts all of a sudden are good this year, I have to give it to them. I really do.
I think the Colts are going to win this one too. I don't know.
That's coming from the Steelers fans.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh. Okay, so we have playoff baseball right in front of us. Ohtani is on the mound, and Toronto, did he just hit a home run?
Yeah, Vlad Guerrero Jr. just went deep again.
And brought in 2 runs, so Toronto is now leading 2-1, but in the whole series, Los Angeles leads 2-1. And let's talk about last night's 18-inning thriller, if you will. Matt said 2:30 a.m. it ended.
To be honest, I can't even remember. I was so tired after watching that game. I really thought, first of all, I thought the game was going to be over in the 13th inning. I had flashbacks of last year for those Yankee fans who remember it and those that just fans of baseball or Dodger fans when Ohtani got on and then they walked Mookie Betts and then Freddie Freeman hit the walk-off grand slam to win Game 1 of the World Series against the Yankees. It almost felt like that was happening again this year. Freddie Freeman comes up, bases loaded, bottom of the 13th, hits a deep fly ball to the warning track, and then Dalshin Varsho is able to track it down. It was almost like a hold your breath moment because this is the game that, first of all, the Yankees lost to the Blue Jays this year in the division series. We know I'm a big diehard Yankee fan.
Yeah.
But then the Yankees lost to the Dodgers last year in the World Series. So then you're like, well, who do you root for this year? To me, I'm going for the Blue Jays. It was a tough loss yesterday. But I also feel like this is a complete team with both of these teams. Like,
no, yes.
And, Brai, we talked about this. When you look at these two teams overall, this is the most probably favored match that you would get. This is the most similar team-wise. We talked about it with the game earlier this year when both Lions and Ravens were healthy. That was that Monday night game early in the season. It almost feels like that kind of a matchup. The pitching staffs are great. You got Beaver and Scherzer and Savage, and then on the other side, Yamamoto, who's pitched 2 complete games in the postseason. You have Ohtani, who somehow, some way, gets on base 9 times yesterday, hits 2 home runs. One of them ties the game in the 7th inning. I mean, he continues to prove that he is the best in the world, and that's coming from a Yankee fan who's got Aaron Judge on his roster. But this Blue Jays team, I feel like, can be the team that can knock off the Dodgers. They lose tonight, I think it changes my mind. If they could hold this lead at 2-1 right now and get more insurance, guys from the bottom of the order, guys we saw in the division series and that championship series, like Varsho, Jimenez had a couple of big hits, Addison Barger, who hit the grand slam back in, I believe it was either Game 7 or Game 1 of the championship series of the World Series. I mean, there are so many guys who could step up, and for the Blue Jays this year, this has to be that time where they take that step to beat this giant of a team in the Dodgers, because it's going to be tough. You know you're going to face Yamamoto again. Yeah. You're going to face Snell again, and you're most likely, if you go to a Game 6 or 7, no pun intended, you're going to have to face either Glasnow or Ohtani at least one more time.
So we all know how this earlier went in this season for the Phillies against the Dodgers team. I will say Shohei didn't look good in that series, and that's the only good takeaway out of that I really have to give to our Phillies fans. Right now, it feels like the Dodgers are what the Kansas City Chiefs are of the football world for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't like Kansas City. Everyone doesn't like the Dodgers. I will say I'm not a fan of the Dodgers. I haven't been for years. So I really want to see this Blue Jays team win because it, like, okay, yeah, like, whatever. Like, you know, Dodgers are always the top. But, like, I haven't heard much from the Blue Jays the last couple of years. You don't really hear too much out of them. So all I'm going to say is, oh, Canada, let's go.
So Matt and I know, love weird stats. AJ, I think you're included in this. I'd just like to give this one. Brad Paisley has.
I saw this earlier. This is great.
Yes, I saw this too.
Brad Paisley has officially sung the national anthem for World Series Game 2 in 2017, which went to 11 innings. World Series Game 3 in 2018, which went to 18 innings. World Series Game 1 in 2024 went to 10 innings. And last night went to 18 innings where he sung the national anthem. So if Brad Paisley is singing the national anthem, get ready.
To go long.
Yeah. I saw another weird stat. I saw one where it was like 220 of the baseballs they had out of like the
290.
Yeah, were used last night. That's insane.
Yeah.
But I want to point out one thing. All I'm going to say is I think if the Blue Jays win this, we're seeing Vladdy or Kirk take home that MVP. That's all I'm going to say because Kirk has been a powerhouse for this team.
All right, and that was our PA Pigskin preview for the night. If you want to listen more about this round table that we've just given you the last 20, 30 minutes, you can tune in to 88.9 from Wednesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 9. Tonight we had freshman offensive lineman Danny Robertozzi. We had Susquehanna junior linebacker Braden Nolan and Daily Item reporter Todd Hummel. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brai Tate, joined by Matt Kaufman and AJ Knorr. Let's get back to the greatest hits of yesterday and today.